Hey y'all, this is David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be doing a session recap video for Return of the Runefangs, episode 4. I have previously recorded 3. I turned the viewer on to watch it. There's no sound, it's just me yelling at the camera for in silence, me gesticulating at the camera for a half hour. I don't know if I'll re-record 3 or not, but I thought I should do 4 while it's still fresh in my memory. So, episode 4 opens up with some of our protagonists in the Iron Tower of Nuln, the inescapable prison in the center of the River Reich. That would be Sir Lewin, Sir Sauvage, and Sir Theodore. So we're rolling with knights, because we're rolling Game of Thrones style. And Sir Lewin had just finished interrogating Carlos Hees, the captured merchant, and Sir Sixtus Jurger. He styles himself as a knight and the son of a count, but he's actually the bastard son of Count Gifford Jurger. He should probably just be called Sixtus Lyons, because people from Wissenland, born with no family name, they get called Lions, after the standard of that province. Which is also well known for its mountain lion attacks, as it's a somewhat mountainous area in the far south. But Sir Lewin had just finished interrogating them with some help from Sir Theodore as well. And he came out and he's got this blood-soaked bag attached to his belt, and Sauvage just kind of looks at it and he's like, "What are you doing?" And what is that? What is that bleeding bag? Sir Theodore and Sir Lewin kind of exchange knowing glances at each other, and then Sir Lewin just starts to leave the tower with Sir Theodore, and Sauvage's like, "Oh, okay, I see how it is. Nobody's going to tell me nothing. That's okay, though. I have my own sources of information." So he actually went down to one of his contacts, a dwarf in the Iron Tower, as the Iron Tower was built by and is now staffed by dwarfs. And Sauvage has one of them as his contact, whose name escapes me, but he's a minor character. But he goes to his contact in the tower, and he tells him make sure both those prisoners are very well kept. Treat them like nobles, because we want to ransom them like nobles. And by the time Sauvage gets out of the tower, he runs back into Theodore, but not Lewin. He says, "Where's my brother gone? Where's Lewin?" And Theodore says, "Oh, he went down the other bridge, down towards the Falstadt district, the slums, with the bloody bag." Sauvage is like, "Oh, you didn't try to stop him? He's going to try to negotiate a ransom with the finger that he cut off of Sixtus Jurger." And Theodore's like, "No, I didn't think to stop him. He's probably cool though." Sauvage is like, "Oh, he's definitely not cool. He's probably never going to see him again." So they start to head back to Berengar Manor. It's too late to find Lewin, as he's already out of sight and in the slums. It's a warren of wooden shacks and mud streets. They'll never find him. So as they're heading back, we cut over to Sir Ulrich, who's returning from the tourney grounds, the abandoned, not abandoned, but out of use tourney grounds, with his master-at-arms, Buck Salder. And Mike laughs every time I say his name for some reason. I think it's a great name. So he and Buck Salder are proceeding back to Berengar Manor after practicing for the spring tourney, which Ulrich intends to enter. They have some back and forth banter regarding Buck's homeland in Kislev, and soon they arrive at the tower. They meet back up with Sauvage and Sir Theodore, and they all decide that they're going to accept the Countess's offer to attend dinner with her that evening. So it would be Countess Darlene Nestel of Averland, and they're not sure why she's invited them to dinner, but there are rumors she's connected to the Bridge Rats Thieves Guild, to which Sixtus Durger is a member. And there's also, of course, the fact that Carlos Hees, the captured merchant from Marienburg, was traveling through the empire under a writ of protection issued by her. He was known to be doing business with the Bridge Rats. So they're, Sauvage was very concerned this is a trap. He's a very suspicious individual. But they decide that they have to follow through and see what's going on over there at the Nestel household. So they all get changed into their opulent finery to go attend this dinner. Well, it's not like a ball or anything, but it is a dinner with the Countess, someone a few steps above their social station. And Sauvage, I believe, was approached by Sir Bernard while he's getting ready. Bernard being the heir to the Berengar house, Ulrich's older brother. And Bernard is saying, why wasn't I invited? I'm the heir to the house. Like, this isn't fair that Ulrich should get this honor bestowed upon him and I'm just left here. Like, Uncle, I look to you for advice and guidance in manners of backstabbing politics. What should I do? And Sauvage kind of slyly says to him, oh, don't worry, because, we're not going to bring you because we suspect, first of all, that it's a trap, and second of all, that the Countess has been dealing with criminals and pirates. So if any of this turns out to be true, then you're distanced from it. You're distanced away from all these problems. Bernard kind of smiles. He's like, oh, yes. So Ulrich is going to meet potentially with pirates. I see. He's clearly got the idea that he's going to blackmail Ulrich or just slander his name with this info. And Sauvage kind of smiles. He's like, yes, this would be terrible if it got out for your brother's reputation. So Sir Bernard leaves happy. As Ulrich is changing, Buck Salder greets him as he's leaving his room. And Buck's wearing like his best tunic and some like bronze jewelry he's taken from an ogre he killed ages ago. And Buck seems to have the idea in his head that he's coming with them. And Ulrich has to try and not hurt his feelings and tell him like, no, Buck, no, you're a foreigner. You're just a man at arms. You're very uncouth, Buck. And he's trying to, gentler than that, but he's trying to tell him that he can't come. Buck first gets very sad and dejected, and then Ulrich starts talking to him about how it's going to be so uptight and stuffy and formalized, and that's not the kind of party Buck wants to go to. And I think he gave Buck a gold dragon, and he said, Buck, what you want to do is head down to the Fulstad district, and you want to take this gold dragon, and you want to get wasted and eat a delicious roast goat, whole goat, Buck, and get with some of those loose women down there in the slums, and they'll really appreciate your style a lot better than the Countess. So Buck he's heartened by this, and he's like, yes, I will go to Fulstad. I will show the Countess. She will hear my reveling, even from the next district. And so he leaves, actually very happy and heartened. And then the Sir Theodore, of course, comes down. His tabard is of the most noble order of the Blazing Sun, as that's his knightly order. He's not a member of the family. That's Theodore Lyons. He is a bastard from Whistleland. But they get in their carriage. They head through Altastadt, across the bridge, into Der Hansnabel district, which is the Dwarven district. It's also the section of the city that is theoretically in Averland. That's the way the rivers divide the city. So that's why Countess Darlene keeps her keep there instead of in the noble district, because theoretically, she has some legal sway in this district. So they roll up on the palace. They get a really grand introduction. I got them each to go through and switch over to their heralds to announce themselves. Sir Ulrich did a very good job, and Sauvage's character or player also did a very good job. And they came in, and they see the 3 long tables and then the head table as well set up. 1 long table for the House Nestel staff, 1 for the House Holloman staff, because the Hollamans are staying with the Nestels, and 1 is empty, and I'm not sure why. But they come and they're seated at the high table, and actually one of my comrades at the YouTube RPG Brigade suggested I draw a map of the dinner, a battle map, a political battle map. Great idea. So I had a seating chart, and I let the player characters decide where they were going to sit, who they were going to sit with. But as they were approaching the table, that's when we introduced a new character. So the doors are open, in come all these swaggering Estalian diestros, and with their rapiers and their silk shirts and their wide-brimmed hats and feathers and swashbuckler boots, and all these these foreigners descend, and the herald cries out, here's the princess of Estalia coming in, and she is in exile from the tyrant Raoul, who has seized her rightful throne. And she is now the capitaine of the, I'm sorry, I can't recall the name of the ship. It's Spanish, so I don't speak Spanish. I don't know what it is. I'll get it back to you. I'm sure this ship will come up in other videos. I'll get back to you with it. But our new character came in, Camilla, Princess Camilla, the Princess of Estalia. And she comes through, and she gets a big intro scene for the new character. Her crew go down, and they sit at this empty table. So they have their own table. So she also got to come in and decide where she was going to sit. So for the NPCs, we had the Countess. We had her Master at Arms, who was a Pegasus Knight, Iso Cedar. And then we had a Shadow Mage, a Mage of the Grey Order. There was also, of course, Wilhelmina Holloman was there, as well as her brother Ramsay Holloman, the Baron of, I believe they're based out of Agbiton, but it's, I believe it's Agbiton. But he was there, so the players all sat down, and I'm describing the food that's coming out, trying to contrast against my buddy Aaron Kenderson, the Eternal Kender, was running the game just in this same week, earlier in the week, and we had an officer's mess, officer's dinner, aboard a spaceship. Different game, different setting, obviously, but he did a really, really bad job describing the dinner. He's like, chicken stew. I'm just like, okay, well, I can see that as first course, sure. What's the second course? And he's just like, oh no, it's just chicken stew. I'm like, we're like the officers, we're entertaining a planetary governor, and all we give him is chicken stew. Oh man, this is balls. So I made sure that my dinner was opulently described in the style of Game of Thrones again. So we got some fish broth, we had a roast pike with lemon and cumin. Then we had I think we had a boar that was basted with apple juice and was served with roast apples, and then maybe like a venison. Before, of course, cheese and nuts and crackers, and then pastries for the final course, various pies and cakes and fritters, various pastries. I described all of the different wine and ale that was available, and beer. I can't just have ale just because you're in a fantasy setting, so there's beer. I don't think there was any mead that was described, but there probably was some there. So we described the food as George R.R. Martin would approve. And Ulrich, well, let's start with Theodore. So Sir Theodore was seated between he was essentially sitting next to Iso Cedar, the Pegasus Knight. And he was talking to Iso, and they acknowledged, oh yes, my order is fought beside yours, the Order of the Pegasus Knights and the Order of the Blazing Sun are good friends. And Iso is like, yes, and I hope that as I serve House Nestel and you serve House Berengar, I hope we can serve beside each other again. And Sir Theodore just brutally destroyed him in political maneuverings. Oh yeah, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you implying? You're implying that we wouldn't get along? Why is that? Like, what is the Countess up to? And he's just like, nothing, because he's a straight fighter. He has no political ability at all. So Sir Theodore just brutally crushed him with his charisma. Meanwhile, Sir Sauvage seated himself next to the Shadow Mage of the Grey Order. Sir Sauvage, of course, is a red mage of the Bright Order. So he's a fire mage. So they, again, similar circumstances, acknowledged each other as, fellow students of the colleges of magic, and said that. And now here was some really good political maneuvering, because the Shadow Mage, he is extremely glib, and Sir Sauvage very much so as well. So they had some pretty much the same kind of talk, but with such a great style about it, where the Shadow Mage, I believe his name is Benke, was kind of implying, that I hope we can work together in this, as fire and shadow are so complementary, and who could stand before such an alliance? And Sir Sauvage is going the same route as Sir Theodore. He's saying, oh yes, I'm sure that there will be no cause. I'm sure there is no cause that House Nestel would not be inviting us here under false pretenses. And the Shadow Mage is like, oh, of course not. And I'm sure that as we are still allies, a friend of a friend remains a friend. Yeah, as if he's implying some knowledge about Sixtus and Carlos, who are rotting in the Iron Tower. But Sir Ulrich is seated next to, between the Countess and Wilhelmina Holloman, who he'd previously been courting until his face was destroyed. He now wears a veil over his face. But previously they'd been courting each other, him and Wilhelmina, and she dropped him hard when his face was destroyed. She's been courting Bernard Hostetler. We have to have two characters named Bernard for some reason, just to confuse everyone. But I have portraits for all of my NPCs, all my major ones, that I send out to everyone after every session to remind them what everyone they talked to that day looked like. Great tool. It's not available in every setting, obviously, but there's so much art for the Game of Thrones style, Game of Thrones setting. So it's really good if you can find that kind of resource. So there's not really any confusion between Bernard Hostetler and Bernard Berengar. They look tremendously different. They act fairly different. But Ulrich also, he gets into a conversation with the Countess as well. And, she kind of, and it was a great political scene, but without revealing explicitly that she was in cahoots with Carlos, she offered to ransom Carlos for, I think, 800 gold crowns, which is a very, very large amount of money in the setting. But Ulrich kind of said, oh no, I'll have to discuss this offer with my father. So he kind of backed off of that. But the Countess also mentioned that she knew he was going to work bad to court Count Detlev's daughters, his eldest daughter. So she offered that he could come with them as far as Averheim, and they had to ride north to Wurtbad and get there in the same time as his original plan, which was to just row there, take one of the house's ships and row there. It's the same time spent, and it might be safer because they're on the plains instead of in the woods. And also, he'd get all his political sway that he went on a voyage, and he stayed with 2 different counts on the same voyage. Like, how much would his political stock rise from that, as opposed to just staying in I'm trying to remember the name of the city. I can't remember. Kemperbad. Instead of just staying in Kemperbad before, at an inn and then proceeding to Wurtbad. So he kind of demurred. He said, I'll think about your proposal as well. So then after the dinner, there was some dancing involved. Camilla, the new character, she got to dance with Iso. She got to dance as well with Sir Savage, and he's limping around with his busted leg because his leg was crippled in childhood. But she's kind of making overtures to, she's not sure why she's been summoned either, but House Berengar's powerful shipping company as well, the Berengar Shipping Company, and she kind of reveals to him that she's actually a pirate. She's a pirate princess, which is awesome. And she might be interested in helping them against the other pirates, the Bridge Rats, if she could join with House Berengar. So Savage is kind of taking this into consideration. And let me think if there's any other good scenes on the dance floor there. I think that was it. We kind of left them off pretty much there. And when we pick up, I'm not sure if we'll montage through the rest of the night or if there are more scenes that they want to run at the dinner. I would hope we can just montage through. But just for pacing reasons, I hate to split a scene straight in half at the end of a session and then the beginning of the next. But that was episode 4. I may record episode 3 again, so you're not too confused about how we got here and what's going on. But I'm going to sign off now. Thanks for listening to the ramble, and have a good day in YouTube land.